and I will tell you something about grave markers, mostly metal grave markings, history and tradition from Finland. But first, I'd like to say something about funny things, how the things and ideas are going and making circles. It was maybe close to 20 years ago. I was visiting Heiner and his father, Frau Zimmermann, in Stuttgart, and we had a chat. And actually, Heiner was in that time he was writing emails with Tenebu, and he was asking me how much I dare to ask salary, and I didn't answer. I hope it was enough. But yeah, in that time we had a chat about in exactly these topics which has been showed here, and suddenly we had a parallel project in Finland, and me and my colleague Jouko Nieminen we are been researching this kind of great crosses history of Finland a long time, and now we are going to have an exhibition in the Crafts Museum of Finland. It will be opened at January 2026. So we have, without knowing, we have been working close to 20 years with same on the same topics, and now they both are coming through. So this is life. But now that was the life part. Now I concentrate on death. So this first view is from the movie Unknown Soldier. Most Finnish people can recognize this view. So the branch in front of it's a grave marker. So a grave marker would be really simple, but still impressive. And it would be many material, and only the matter is to show somehow that some person has buried in that place. No. And the second, this is from the Karelian tradition, Orthodox tradition, similar which Heiner sold from Canada. So in that tradition, the crosses are always wooden, and there are similar kind of spirit houses. And the tradition is that when the cross is old and it falls down, it should be let there and let it rot. So this is one way to strive for the eternity. And somehow I like it because it's like from earth you came and to the earth you will become. And as well, like we blacksmiths and grave marker makers nowadays, we have a different point of view to find out the eternity. So we are making grave markers which are meant to keep the memories as long as possible. Choosing the materials to stay for a while. And here are some more pictures from the different, more or less forgotten cemeteries in mostly eastern Finland, or some more like poor areas. This starts now. The next pictures are from this is a different tradition, and you can find kind of forest cemeteries around Finland, and in these places the markers are mostly made out of steel from the local rural blacksmiths or the metal workers, and this design is really simple and mostly these cemeteries they are abandoned more or less, and they are really impressive because time has stopped somehow in these kind of places. So the markers, which are not meant to get rot and disappear. They are mostly made of hard materials like stone or wrought iron, steel, cast iron. And in Finland, there used to be many small workshops where this kind of markers was made locally. This is from blacksmiths marker, which he made for himself and for his wife. So somehow this, if you find a blacksmith's grave, you can see how the blacksmith profession was appreciated in the old time. So there was, in Finland we say that the blacksmiths used to be next to priest, so they was really appreciated. And mostly these cemeteries, they are full of stone workers, these tombstones, but there are really some interesting metalworks, as Joachim was telling earlier, that painting the steel used to be part of the tradition, and as well you can find really nicely painted markers as well. And here the next one, there is a marker which is made by me. So the bird above it is a gray jay, and according to tradition, this gray jay used to understood that is a soul of a hunter, and when the hunter dies, his soul starts to be a gray jay, and it comes to greet the living hunters, because this bird is really familiar to people, and often when a hunter is having barbecue or sitting somewhere, they are really coming to greet in forests. And this person, he was a teacher who used to write books about hunting. So, and as well, he wrote kind of poem about this gray jay, and with his son, we designed this marker to him. So quite often there is not only the dates of like the birth and death, there used to be names and as well the position of community and some other information in these markers. So this is from the railroad master, and as well there's written that his father was a cooper. And also there are different verses from Bible and some phrases which you can find from the old markers. Just like here is, this is as well a blacksmith's marker, and they said that this blacksmith Juho Augusti was what is Mokan in English, I don't know, but he was not so sinful. And this is one really impressive. It's written only the name Hanna and nothing else. So you can, if you are going around the cemeteries, you can find like stories which have something behind, and then there are some kind of mystery like this Hanna. There are some more words written, like there's a teachers and house owner and wife's markers. And this language is really funny. It's so old-fashioned language. It's kind of it's well, it's hard to write this kind of language anymore, and nobody writes it like this way. So most of the markers nowadays, they are or all the time there was cast iron. So there used to be foundries around Finland. I don't know how many, but hundreds anyhow. So there was more or less local made, but there was some of the models or the motifs that you can find them all around Finland. But always there are some like really local specialties, and most of the markers they are really following classical style, but some are really unique, like a Finnish Jugend style or some other local specialties. By the way, if there is blacksmiths around here, how many of you have been renovating or repairing old markers? So that's as well one good way to get paid to be a blacksmith. So because then nowadays it's hard to find anyone who understands these different alloys of metals, but we blacksmiths can do it. And especially in Finland, they are always really happy to find someone who really can do it. We have actually maybe thousands of this kind of pictures, so it was really hard to collect just separately. And sometimes you can find some international humor. So it seems that the guys need to find a bathroom soon. And the last, I will show some contemporary processes which are made lately by me and my colleagues. So these first are from my under my hammer. The left, it's aluminum, forged aluminum, and when I think anyway, it's the old couple who was buried there, and the son was asking first, making me, because they had somehow bird hobby together, and he wanted somehow, and he made a sketch, and then I just followed the sketch, and we made this kind of bird motif there. And in right, it's the latest one which I made for folk musician. It's stainless steel, and who likes to, well, who was really liked, and there's a on this belt there's some poems from Kalevala, the Finnish national poems, and actually in the marker there's a bottle of the favorite booze of this singer. And these next ones, these are from my colleague Jouko. I don't know much about the stories behind them, but they are mostly similar. So these have designed with the relatives. And then there are some others. I think they are from. Actually, I'm not sure who made this, but anyhow, they are like the not too old ones. So that is. So if you have any questions or something to mention, please. Or if you are hungry and thirsty, run.
Yeah. How does gold look like in Finland, where you can bury your relatives, and what you can do with the ashes?
Yeah, it's in Finland. It's mostly the Lutheran church which is taking care of the cemeteries, and you can bury the ashes almost anywhere, but you can't mark it. It's allowed to like put it in the sea or in the forest, but then it's not allowed to mark. Right. because if there is a mark, then it's like official cemetery. And there are some rules which have to be followed when you are designing a grave marker. So they like to be not higher or bigger than the others in that cemetery, and they have to follow more or less good taste and that kind of stuff. And of course, they have to be safety for the others, so not too sharp. So that kind of thing.
There was one of your grave markers that were made from aluminium.
Yeah.
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 Why did you choose aluminium?
This aluminum one was because of the color, and I think it was mostly about the color, and as well there was I can't remember it's maybe 20 years ago when I made it, but I was maybe that time as well interested to forge aluminum, so I was following my own interests as well, but it was actually nice because it's not that heavy to forge.
How does it last? Is it still, does it look okay still?
Yeah, I was actually looking it last year or anyway, not that long time ago, and it looks really still the same as this. So it just needs to be after hot forging and working with steel tools, it need to be grinded or acided or etched or carefully brushed with stainless brush. So then it gets the surface that it's not getting that white stuff on it, and that is as well it is patinated with some liquids. So I know sometimes they are tricky, the aluminum ones. This it happened to survive. Any more? Yeah.
So there were historical grave signs and some contemporary by you, but is it common among other blacksmiths in Finland to make grave signs today?
Well, we hope it would be more, and as well like the officers in the cemeteries, they are really happy if there's something other than this square blocks all around. So but it's really hard to find the place with the stone companies because it's so well, like easy running business to them, so they don't like anyone coming to get money out of that. But yeah, I'm making maybe some year 1 and some year maybe 5 of these markers, but it's not that common. Would be more common.
Can I see the last slide again?
Sure.
I think I might have missed.
This one.
Yeah, it's just that little silver, so much like an organ to me, like intestines or something.
Actually, I don't know about this history of this one.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was on purpose because it seems so kind of, you know, visceral, but you don't normally see on a grave marker.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know what that would have been.
Once I made actually really interesting. It was kind of letter from it was an old lady whose son was died maybe 10 years ago on, and her husband earlier, and he wanted to write a letter to them, and then she really wrote it, and I copied it to metal and chiseled it in metal, and then we put it in the stone there, and it's real letter.
Mm.
Any more questions? Yeah.
I'm wondering how long back in time do you date the start of your research and like historically, and reference in your in your research and your work, because this can be of course dated way before Christianity in Europe, at least, like with stelas and menhirs, and I'm just wondering, like, where do you set the line here?
Well, actually, we concentrated only because more or less me and my colleague, we just like to walk around the cemeteries because there's, well, you know, your mind is resting there in peace. So it's nice to get to have different views of different cemeteries and see the like the local specialties and so we are not making or we have not been making real research work, but not, when we realized that we have actually so big amount of these pictures from the different cemeteries, so then we found out that it would be worth to collect them somehow and show it as an exhibition, because it's mostly there's a cemetery and there are 200 square stones and then there are only 10 something other.
What's your point of view on the idea of a blacksmith making his own grave marker? Would you make your own grave marker?
I have never thought about it, so I hope there will be colleagues who can take care of that. So actually, I know that some of my colleagues, they have already asked that they wanted a person to make a marker. So, but I have never thought that I would make it to myself.
But it's a good thing to do because it's the final work where you don't have to hear the critic.
Yeah, another question there.
In New Zealand, we have similar laws that you can do anything with the ashes. And I was thinking about you could incorporate them into the forging process so that you effectively have the person's ashes, add it to the ash in the bottom of the forge, and then forge it so it feels like the person has been recreated in that. And I just wanted to see any reason why not.
Yeah. Actually, one of my colleagues asked me to do that exactly.
Okay.
And well, let's see. But I have actually made some markers for like the illegal ones. But then I just said then it's not a slave marker, so there was not written that somebody lies there, but there's some text that for for the memory of that person or something like that. So it's.
I was also wondering about incorporating the ashes into, again, not an official one, but so you make something that the ashes are in but sealed.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of unofficial. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's always creativity we have the creativity, so why don't we use it as well to find different ways?
In a way, Estonia is really similar to Finland, but we have had totally different history. And I have been trying to figure out why this kind of crosses are not popular anymore in Estonia. And one idea that I got is that historically, these big cast iron crosses were for noble people, for rich people who were able to allow it, or those people were mostly German, because Estonia has been most of the time under German occupation. And I thought that maybe nowadays it's kind of seen in relationship with that. So people nowadays don't want to have this kind of cross. But have you seen any hierarchical patterns in your historical cast iron crosses, and how popular right now this kind of cross-shaped grave marker is?
I think it's really like hierarchical things, because the most poor these crosses has disappeared already a long time ago, and only which was last time, not the richest one, and you can always find the main priest. There is a fence around the grave, and they are much showing that it's the they are the very important persons, or used to be. But nowadays there is maybe they are not only crosses, as you see, that they can be as well really sculptural works which has showing after the personality or the emotions from the relatives for the disease. But so it's kind of open field, and I hope it will as Heiner described it. I hope it's like we are now looking for the future, not for today or yesterday, but for the next few years or next few centuries.